What's up? This is MariJade with Blow It Out Radio.
Yo, and this your man, the most hot, man, Major. And you listening to Blow It Out Radio.
Rolling up, let's get it faded up.
Yeah, you know we talking about Blow It Out Radio.
Blow It Out Radio, always coming with that loud pack.
Blow It Out Radio, yeah. Yo, what's up? Yo, this your man, MariJade, on another live podcast with my beautiful queen here. Say hello, wifey.
What's up?
You know, we always try to bring some real type of shit to the people, you know. I don't like to waste people's time. But at the same time, I try to give you something to think about as well. Because usually these are just some thoughts I would share with myself. But I'm unselfish enough to share them with everyone else. So welcome to Blow It Out Radio, man. That was a long intro, you know what I'm saying? But on that tip, man, today we talking about something that most people really don't like to discuss. You know, they don't really, I don't think they even really take the time to think about freedom, the word freedom, and what liberty and freedom and the pursuit of happiness really is and what it really means, you know what I mean? And I think especially in our country, our corporation, because our country actually is left a long time ago, you know what I mean? But that's another story right now. Well, no, it's actually the same story. We're talking about freedom and what the word freedom and liberty really means, you know what I mean? What does that mean to you? Now, if we are supposedly in this land of the free, where, you know, we're free to be whoever we want to be, we're free to do whatever we want to do, then why is it that when we go out to do just that, it's always someone or something trying to infringe upon your freedoms? So it leads you back to the question, are you really free? You know what I mean? Do you feel free? Because when you were born, you were brought here with an unalienable right to be just that, which is free. Now that means free will, free thought, you know, self-determination, the pursuit of happiness. Do we really even understand or understand what that really means? You know what I mean? What is happiness? What is freedom? What are these things to you? And today my intention is to get you to really exercise or look at that freedom. Now, I don't know if you guys are versed on history or versed on any of that, because I don't want to get into a historical discussion or esoteric discussion that's going to separate us further. But I want to get you to observe the matrix or the system that the so-called elitists has created for us, and get you to kind of look at some things for yourself. Now, they'll tell you that this is the land of the free. But first of all, we're taxed for everything that we do. So there's an infringement upon your freedom right there. Okay, second of all, we have these statutes at large that have been created basically by a group of small people who feel that they can determine our fate, and they get to determine the outcome and set the rules for everyone in society. And when I say this is a small group of businessmen, I mean this is a small group of businessmen. Mind you, this has nothing to do with morality, or has nothing to do with you know, righteousness or honor or any of that kind of stuff. Just toss that out of the door when we're dealing with this land of free system that we're in right now. Toss that out of the door. And let's add, say, 10, 11, however many statutes at large there are for people to deal with. I mean, any infraction, when you have 10,000 different ones, gives another man, another individual, woman, whomever this may be, the right to interrupt you in your day of being free, being happy, not bothering anyone, not putting anyone at risk, not endangering anyone. they get to interrupt you at that time. But that's just one dynamic of it. You know what I mean? We understand how lopsided and ridiculous that this system is, but I mean, do we really understand how ridiculous that it is? I mean, I'm not going to just say they. Our system that we're in they have the audacity to categorize us in a color caste system. And just think about that for a second. They have the audacity to place us in a color caste system. And when I say color caste system, I mean basically a box of crayons. That's how we are classified as human beings with souls and lives in our corporation that we think is actually freedom. Let's take it a step further. I'm just going to give you a little history. In 1933, the United States was incorporated, in which we made a deal with the Queen of England and the Pope that we were going to collect all the gold from the citizens in the United States. All these hard-working people, all of their gold was collected, and we went to a different system there. We went to a cest-decay system, which really wasn't an old system. I mean, it really wasn't a new system. It was an old system, but it was brought here, and at that point, our actual energy and our children, our babies, and those to come were traded for the gold that they traded away for us. And in return, they decided to put our birth certificates and our people up as collateral for the gold that the Queen of England and the Pope decided that they wanted to make a deal with our so-called president at the time, who decided this would be beneficial for the higher-ups, because of course all these people work for those people. So, and like I said, I don't want to get too far off on that, and if you don't respect what I'm saying, then you can go research that for yourself. But look into birth certificates and cest-decay accounts. It's a reason that when you are checked into a doctor or checked into a dock, as a ship would be, you are brought in at birth, and now you're giving a certificate that makes you now property of the U.S. corporation, the United States of America Corporation, Incorporated version, because they created this fictitious account that you know nothing about, really, because our parents knew nothing about it. You know, their parents knew nothing about it. And it was prior to their parents, there was nothing like this. So you got to understand when I say an infringement upon your freedoms. Now, you're locked into this contract as a baby. I mean, as a baby, you come out, you sucking on tits and looking for pacifiers, but you are already considered collateral and a ward of the state. I mean, and now we go back to the question, does that really sound like freedom to you? I mean, we don't understand really the dynamic that we're up against, because we think freedom is being able to go out here and buy a burger from McDonald's and, hey, I'm paying your taxes on time, paying your bills on time, paying your tickets, and, you know, being a law-abiding citizen. That's freedom. In actuality, that is the epitome of slavery, because now you're locked into a debt system. You're locked into a dictatorship, basically, because that's what it is. I mean, let's just be real. When a lot of these maniacs, and I'm not saying all of them, but for the majority of these maniacs, and you don't have to take my word for it, all you got to do is look on the internet. These maniacs are undertrained. They stop good people and some people who are not so good people, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not gonna sit here and judge anyone, because when you've created an environment like that, hey, you reap what you sow. And at the end of the day, they've created this environment for people. And then they say, hey, look, see, these people are bad people. But like I said, that's another story, and I don't want to get off track of what I was saying. Back to your birth certificate. Your birth certificate is not just a birth certificate. It is a stock certificate which makes you a shareholder in the corporation. But these are just paper contracts. And at the end of the day, the real freedom is in your mind. You know, we have also been given religious dogma. And I'm not here to, you know, disrespect anyone's belief system or whatever they feel, because I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian in my home, Baptist. I had those type of roots in the church. But I gotta honestly say, I never felt free dealing with any religion. The freest I've ever felt is when I went on a spiritual journey. And that journey starts with inside. And it goes further inside and further inside and further inside. And once you look inside and you go further inside, you understand that nothing outside of your highest dimension of spirituality really exists. Because all of this stuff that they create, all of these systems that they create, all of these categories, all of these titles, all of these adjectives and, you know, different things they use to describe people is only to extract the freedom from your mind. Because now when you have prejudice toward another person or another people, that is an infringement upon their freedom and yours, because you're not truly being true to yourself. You're not being true to anyone else. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anyone that thinks less of themselves is going to think less of you. Our government has failed us miserably. You know, and I know I'm not the elephant in the room. We see it. We look around. How has the mass incarceration of a group of people, how does that help society? How does that help you sleep at night? How does that help others sleep at night? How does taking innocent lives and infringing upon people's freedoms when they go into court by forcing them under a color of law system, how is that freedom for anyone? How is that setting you free? But I think it was said best in the Outcast song, you know, no one is free as long as others are oppressed. You know, this is forced oppression. And I mean, we've been brainwashed, we've been programmed to look at the world from basically a two-dimensional aspect when this thing is multifaceted. We come in all different shades, colors, hues. You know, this thing boils down to energy. If you really want to get metaphysical about it, this is energy. Energy is all it's about. Again, and I've said that before and I'm going to say it again. Energy is all that it's about. And when you have the inside higher dimensional perspective, then you understand what real freedom is. Freedom isn't when they let your son out of prison. Freedom isn't when you go down here and pay your taxes. These are all man-created things that has nothing to do with real freedom. Freedom is when you have the power to let go of things that have puzzled you. Freedom is the power to see the good in life when people see the negative. Freedom is the power to understand that even though these people are suffering from lower dimensional thinking, that you can still lead by example and show them the God. And not that God doesn't strike with an iron fist at times. You know, you gotta always take care of yourself. You gotta take care of the ones that you love. But when you do things in honor and you know you have people, others that you deal with, and you know this is contagious, this attitude of honor and doing things the right way, because there's only one way to do things, and that's the honorable way. You know, anything that would interrupt the harmony of others, interrupt your harmony, interrupt the harmony of the universe, of the earth, these things are against nature, and that's against universal law. And these principles are written in stone since the beginning of time. We have choices. You have a choice to be free. You have a choice to be captive. But we don't understand this is a mental warfare that we're in. They have captivated and they have incarcerated our mentals, because we've allowed a small group of people to set the laws for the masses and groups of society, and all of us who are really just one. They do not have the right to enforce their own laws on people, because they still have an oath to the Constitution. And when we get to dealing with these barristers and these bar members, they are members of a foreign organization. They are acting outside of their bond and their charters. And there are penalties to be assessed, and there is remedy. But again, all that stuff is paperwork. When you defeat that mentality on a spiritual level, it can only manifest in the physical. So, to end that conversation, the only true freedom is unlocking your true spiritual freedom, to unlock your chakras, to wake up every day happy. That's something people cannot steal from you, because that only manifests in the spiritual, in the next dimension. And these others that are suffering from lower dimensional thinking, that you think you will continue to enforce your ideas of titleship and superiority, and thinking that you can own the land that was God-given, that's granted to all people, until we all start to see things that way. That's a dying technology. So that is what I wanted to say. That was the point that I was making. If you really want to be free, go out in nature, look inside of yourself, meditate, and think about what freedom is. Because the freest you are is when you close your eyes and you block out everything around you. That is freedom. No one can take that away from you. And I know you say, well, that's not freedom because my son is here, my so-and-so is there. Again, these are things that manifest in the physical world. With the power of your mind, you can release yourself from any prison. And with the right knowledge behind it, and you understand these contracts that were created for you, and you understand it's really very elementary when all of these things are based on contracts. So, another way to free yourself is to understand the contracts that are placed on you. When I say contracts, everything's a contract. Your driver's license is a contract. Your mortgage is a contract. Your birth certificate is a contract. Your social security is a contract. A ticket that you get is a moving vehicle ticket. That's a contract. Understand contract law and understand what it means to be a secured party creditor. And you force these people to live by the laws and regulations that they have set. Peace, people. Blow It Out Radio.